So back in 2005, Steve Jobs gave this commencement speech at Stanford, and it's since become, well, pretty much legendary. What makes it so incredibly powerful is that it's not really about business or technology. It's about life. And he tells it all through three simple stories. So today, we're going to break down the core lessons from that incredible speech. And this is how he kicked it off. He didn't come out with some big, grand theory or anything like that. Nope. He just made a simple promise. No sprawling epic, no complex jargon, just three stories. And honestly, this is classic Steve Jobs, right? Taking something truly profound and making it feel so simple and so personal.
You know, there's a real reason this speech has stuck around for so long. It's not just for the tech crowd or for entrepreneurs. Not at all. It's kind of like a universal guide for navigating life's biggest questions. Career, loss, what it all really means. It's a speech that, frankly, everyone should hear. So, okay, let's dive into that first story.
All right, the first story is all about connecting the dots. And what that really means is it's about trust. It's about trusting that all the seemingly random, confusing, or even really difficult moments in your life are actually leading you somewhere important, even if you have absolutely no idea where that is right now. So his own life started with a huge twist. His biological mother wanted him to be adopted by college graduates, but that whole plan fell through. Instead, a working-class couple took him in, but on one condition. They had to promise he would go to college. And they kept that promise. But just 6 months in, Steve was watching his parents' entire life savings just vanish into his tuition, and he couldn't see the value. So he made the absolutely terrifying decision to drop out. So now he's a college dropout. And in a way, he's free. I mean, he was sleeping on friends' floors and returning Coke bottles for food money. But that freedom meant he could stop taking all the required classes and instead just drop in on the ones that genuinely interested him. And his curiosity led him to a calligraphy class. Yeah, calligraphy. A subject with what seemed like zero practical application for his future. Or so he thought. And get this, for a full decade, that skill, the art of beautiful lettering, it just lay dormant. It was just this interesting but seemingly useless dot in his past. Think about that for a second. That's 10 years of having to trust that some random passion might one day have a purpose. And then, the connection happened. While he was designing the very first Mac, it all came flooding back to him. The different typefaces, the spacing between letters, all of it. And that is why the Mac became the first computer with beautiful typography. It was all because of that one, seemingly random class he took a decade earlier. And this is the crucial takeaway right here. You can't connect the dots looking forward. It's just impossible. You have to simply trust that the things you're doing now, the skills you're learning, the passions you're following, will eventually make sense down the road. You have to have faith in something. Okay, story number 2 is about love and loss. This one kind of builds on that idea of trust, but it adds a whole other layer. It's about hitting the absolute highest highs of success, and then the crushing blow of failure, and how losing everything can sometimes be the best thing that ever happens to you. I mean, the story of Apple's rise is legendary. From a garage to a $2 billion company in just 10 years. Incredible. He was 30 years old, a public icon of success, and then, after a big dispute with the board of directors, he was publicly and humiliatingly fired. The very thing that had been the focus of his entire adult life was just gone. But here's where the perspective shifts. He talked about how the heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. The pressure was off. He was totally free from expectations. And this, he said, allowed him to enter one of the most creative periods of his entire life. And what a creative period it was. In the next 5 years, he founded Next, which would later become the heart of Apple's huge comeback. He founded Pixar, the Pixar that created Toy Story and changed animation forever. And he met the love of his life. Getting fired, he realized, was maybe the best thing that could have happened. And the lesson from this incredible story of loss and rebirth, you have to love what you do. That passion is what gets you through the hard times. So if you haven't found your passion yet, his advice is simple, and it's urgent. Keep looking. And whatever you do, don't settle. The final story is the most profound. It's about how remembering that you are going to die is one of the most powerful tools you have for living a life with true meaning and purpose. This was the question he asked himself in the mirror every single morning for 33
years. And he said that whenever the answer was no for too many days in a row, he knew he needed to change something. It's such a powerful filter for making sure you're on the right path. And look, this wasn't just some philosophical exercise for him. About a year before giving this speech, it became very real. He had a scan that showed a tumor on his pancreas. The doctors told him it was an untreatable cancer and that he should get his affairs in order, giving him just 3 to 6 months to live. He lived with that death sentence for a whole day. But then, a biopsy revealed something absolutely astonishing. It was an extremely rare form of pancreatic cancer that could be cured with surgery. He had the operation and he survived. He had come closer to death than ever before. And this whole experience just solidified his view of death. He saw it not as a tragedy, but as life's greatest invention. Why? Because it's the agent of change. It's what clears out the old ideas, the old systems, to make way for the new. And this is the ultimate takeaway from facing mortality. It strips away all the non-essentials. All the fear, the pride, the expectations from other people, they all just disappear. Remembering you will die frees you from the trap of thinking you have something to lose. It gives you the courage to stop living someone else's life and to finally follow your own inner voice. And that brings us to his final piece of advice. It's a sign-off that has become legendary. And he actually took it from the back cover of the final issue of a publication he loved called the Whole Earth Catalog. So what did he mean by stay hungry, stay foolish? Well, stay hungry means never be satisfied. Always have that ambition to create and explore. And stay foolish, that means you should never assume you know everything. You have to be willing to be a beginner, to be the fool, because that's the only way you can truly learn something new. Ultimately, when you put them all together, his 3 stories carry one single message. Trust that your experiences are valuable dots. Don't settle until you find the work you truly love. And have the courage to live your own life, because your time is limited. So the final question isn't about Steve Jobs. It's about you. What dots are you collecting now? And what do you have the courage to build?